Absolute Martian Manhunter issue 7, Deniz Camp, writing with Javier Rodriguez on the art. So yeah, we got Absolute Martian Manhunter back after a little bit of a break. So it's nice to have it back, and it's, you know, immediately doing a lot of its weird little things with layouts and little interesting ways it presents certain moments and panels and how it presents ideas. Like sometimes the colored smoke just forms like an image itself, or sometimes, for example, their kid is like 10 foot tall in the first panel for some reason, and I don't really know why initially, but that's okay.
Well, I feel like he's the elephant in the room.
Yes,
right.
I mean, I think that's the gist of it. Yeah, is that he's what's weighing over them in the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also a dream, to be fair, as well. So it's not like it has to follow any rules, regardless. But
yeah. I really like the combination when it's John and the Green Martian together, like they're on that page, like the one where he's looking into the mirror, and it's, you know, got the 5 o'clock shadow on the Green Martian face, and you're just like, what is going on here? You know, like is this what he's seeing himself as now? As he's this combination being, or, you know, is he feeling outside of his body? Like, what does this actually mean?
I mean, yeah, I'm not even sure if he's seen it. I could see this just being like a representation for us, or the idea that he is becoming more and more alien to everything around him, so he's looking to us like more and more of the Martian himself. But yeah, he's alone. He's not living with his wife and kid right now after the events of the previous issues, and he's obviously depressed about that. He's like telling himself that he's going past his old house just to look in on the way to work, and the Martian like narration counteracts that by saying this is the opposite direction to work. You know, there's a lot of that going on in the first half of the issue, where the Martian will do his own narration, or whatever you want to call it, but it's like revealing the truth, and whereas John's narration is very much like the lie. It's the not like in a bad way, just like him lying to himself, or whatever it is. So yeah, so there's a lot of that going on. They're talking about murders. There's a lot of again showing this idea that he's thinking about his family constantly. There's a panel where he's driving through the city, and there's just like giant versions of his wife just in between the buildings, like sort of like talking, yelling, fighting, you know, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, all that's good stuff. And you see that she's also kind of struggling with it as well. She's on the phone to her mother, presumably, and like the kid notably looks very creepy as he's making little Play-Doh.
He's dark.
Yeah, Martian things. He's been affected by that candy that he had.
The white Martian. Yeah. And like all the things that he's making too, they look like they're all different colors, right? Mixed together. So they're also reminiscent of that kind of the thought smoke that's coming out of people.
Yeah, and
like these thought forms.
We have a new thing that's introduced here visually, which is like a different color scheme that represents something else. And we see it a couple times in the issue. So when he goes to work, he says, hey, has this place been remodeled? Because remember, he was on suspension or on leave for like a couple of months, right? So he's going back. He's like, has everything changed? And the receptionist is like, no, it's just the way you left it. And he's just walking in the sort of the into the main part of the building. There's a lot of like grey, black, and red kind of, not smoke, it's more kind of angular, but it's kind of reminiscent in the sense that it feels like it's representing something. And you see it again, you actually see it again in the office when he's talking to his boss, but you see it again like separately later on when he's looking at people, and it's like a cloud that's going past their eyes. But again, it's not that, you know, the 5 like bright colors that all the other smoke's been. It's this grey, black, and red color scheme, and it's almost like if the bright colors are representing seeing thoughts and seeing stuff that is coming out of their heads, this color scheme seems to represent stuff that's hidden, like stuff that he can't see, or stuff that's whether or not because something's actually blocking it, or he's just blinded to it. But he's not seeing, he can't read these people's eyes. This work feels alien to him, so he's seeing, at least that's how I interpret it so far. We've only had a couple of examples of it in this issue, so it feels like a new, you know, thing in the creative language of the book that they're going to start whipping out to mean something different as we go forward here.
Yeah, because in the FBI building, when he goes down the hall, it almost looks like a labyrinth design with the black, right? Like there's all these dead ends, and it's like purposefully confusing. And then when he gets into the boss's office, his desk is made up of the same design and behind him. So it's almost like this is someone that's obscuring something, on purpose, versus when you see the people walking around with like the haze, it's the same colors, but it's lacking that design, right? Doesn't have that labyrinth style, in on those. So yeah, so I'm wondering if it has something to do with, again, with this hidden, obfuscation.
Well, I'm not.
Call it.
Yeah, I'm not convinced it's something that's actively doing it to him, though. I was kind of reading this more as there's things that he's just starting to become blinded by because he's changing so much, because he's thinking about things differently, because he's estranged from his wife, so he's starting to not see things in the way that he used to. And like the idea with the people having it over their eyes is like he can't read people the way he used to, maybe, or something like that. I mean, maybe this could be like a white Martian influence or something, but it felt like to me not that, because it feels like the opposite of the bright colored ones, and the bright colored ones have always been about revealing truth. It's always about revealing what's actually in people's heads, and this is the opposite of that. This is like hiding things that are there. Right,
and the fact that it's coming from the FBI and his boss and that type of stuff too is the first place that we see it. It's stuff that's not meant to be seen and whatnot. And then when we get to the people, though, with him not being able to read it, it's almost like they're walking around in a daze, because he says, after their experience with the Martian vision, a brief and intense euphoria flooded into the city. To know and be known is a powerful thing, I guess. But after a while, the euphoria faded, gradually shading into shame. And then that's the people that are walking around with like this fog almost, right? Like this dense thing around them.
I think the key point I'm trying to get at, though, is this is not something the White Martian's done to them directly. It's like a natural after effect of the absence of what the White Martian did to them. So this is like more of like I guess what I'm trying to say is this more represents something that occurs naturally in a person. It just so happens that it's occurring to a lot of people because they all went through this same experience. Like, I don't want to just call it depression necessarily, but the idea that it's like a real human thing that they're all feeling.
Yeah, it's almost like they went through the same thing together, and there's almost like a hangover from it, right? It's almost like their entire belief system were challenged, and now they had this whole euphoria, and then that euphoria went away, and now they're just kind of walking around in this daze, because then we get to the page where they talk about how the White Martian's dead, but the Martian's like, no, death is a physical process. I said, we Martians do not have a death concept. Life, death do not apply. And it says the White Martians cannot be completely killed, destroyed, refuted, only weakened, contained, and transformed. And that page, right, it looks like this Martian figure who's in the red and gray and white that we've seen, right, with all the maze labyrinth thing, is like pouring this white almost paint stuff onto the city. So it's definitely a, whatever the White Martian did, it has definitely been transformed. It's not what it was, it's this new, different take on it. And, and we get, anytime we got the Martian hanging out of the police car, I think it's a good time. And on the bottom of that page is he's hanging out and looking at the people.
Yeah, that full page spread where it looks like the Martian is like up there, but to me, like the coloring there looks more like he's being lit in those colors as opposed to he is those colors, if that makes sense. And yeah, he's playing with this puddle of because I took this as the Green Martian up top, who's just lit in these colors.
Okay.
And it's almost like he's trying to sort out all this residue that's been left over by the White Martian, but it's all dripping over the city anyway because it's too hard to contain it.
Gotcha.
But I mean, I could be misreading that. Maybe your way of reading it is right, but that's how I interpreted that. Just because it still looks like... Because the White Martian didn't look the exact same as the Green Martian before, I don't think.
True.
Whereas this one definitely has the same kind of head as the Green Martian. So...
Yeah.
But either way, you're right about the colour scheme, though. It's definitely that, red, black, grey... and then the hands are coated in like the white paint, if you will. Okay, I'll make one joke. The giant pool of jizz that's dripping all over the city. So I want to just go back and I want to gloss over the page where he's at work for the day, and it's like the the panels make up like a building where his desk is sitting on the top of the building, and then all the panels are the windows going down the building, and then he's at the bottom, and it just sort of represents this idea of the mountain, the tower of work that he has to go through, all this paperwork. It's just a really fun, inventive page. I was into it. I just wanted to mention it. It was really nice.
No, it's real good because he talks about, like, despite working on it for 10 hours, it seems to have gotten even bigger. Right? And just so the way that this is drawn, it looks like it's forever tall, even though it's only 4 panels, right? Or if it's a grid of 4. But yeah, it looks like this gargantuan thing. So well, it drives that point home. It's
a perspective thing, because it's obviously it's angled in a way where it feels like it's really tall, despite only being 4 panels tall, if you will. So later on, and then the car still, the Green Martian like grabs his head, and again, this is more of a visual representation than anything, but it's like he's trying to show or explain, kind of like so we see this beam, and it goes through a bunch of like prisms, and it hits this black prism, and this light, this energy, whatever you want to call it, it splits. Now, through the prism, we get the 5 bright colors that make up all of the thought color smoke that we've been seeing since issue 1, right? That comes out the other side. But on the side that it goes in, the ricochet that comes off is 2 colors, and that's white and green, which is obviously the color of the 2 Martians. I think this is... I have no idea what to make of this page, other than it's clearly trying to start to hint at the idea of, like, like there's some type of... I don't want to say energy, but like it's trying to, like, build a mythology here, but it's only just teasing it in some simple way. But because these colors have been such a big part of the book up until now, it still felt like it meant something. Like, I still felt like, okay, I understand this to some extent, that they're 2 sides of the same kind of coin or kind of thing.
Yeah, it's weird because it's not white, right? So if we were dealing with light, like in, let's say, the Green Lantern books, all the colors make up white. That's not what's happening here. The white shifts off too from the original beam.
Yeah, don't think about Green Lantern here at all. This is clearly not following the same rules or ideas of that. It's definitely not.
Right. And so when it hits to that rock, it almost like goes through and comes out the yellow, blue, red, orange, and like pink. And then the green and the white go off in the other direction.
That's why
definitely something.
I don't think it's light. Like, I think that's the thing to keep out your mind here, is that this is not light. This is energy. Maybe this is just the life force itself. Maybe this is something specifically Martian. I don't know. But having said that, all these colors that come out of the heads all come out of human heads. So I think it's maybe something that's more universal to everyone as opposed to specifically them. But it shows that they are separate from it, and that's maybe why they can see these colors or something. But a very interesting visual representation, but that we don't quite understand just yet. But really tantalizing in and of itself, just in the moment. Anyway, he ends up crashing his car whilst he's been given this vision, because of course he does. And at the end, as we're getting towards the end of the issue here, the kid's still playing with these weird claymation dolls that he's made, and he looks evil as shit. The wife,
yes, he does. He had that dark eyeliner going on.
Yeah, the wife is outside smoking, and her smoke is kind of forming her and her husband. And there's kind of and it basically reveals that he's tried to explain to her what's going on. He's just a flashback that she's thinking about, where it's Martians in your head. You're sick, John. You sound dangerous. It's sort of revealing that he's had this conversation with her, and it's led to her kicking him out. And then we see them both kind of side by side, and the Green Martian's kind of looking down on both of them effectively as it goes. There is a little moment here though where there's eyes staring at him through the cracks of the ceiling, so it's teasing a presence that's keeping an eye on him. That's not just the Green Martian. So
right.
So that's something to mention. Then it does the whole trick again, where there's one page. Digitally it's 2 pages, but physically it's 1 page where if you hold it up to a light, you see a secret second image. And it basically shows that on one version, it's just John on his own, getting ready for bed and then lying on his own, and it's very lonely. And then the other version, it's the wife and kid, but it's all lined up so that they're just they're kind of at a similar table. she's lying in the bed behind them if you put them together, kind of thing. And it's showing that they're both lonely right now, that they're both feeling this separation. It's not just him, it is affecting her as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I like on the page where they're both smoking, right? She's outside, he's at that hotel, right? And it says you need help, and then it says Martian vision. And then I'm assuming if you look at it in the Martian vision, it shows them together instead of being alone, right? And so it's like this thing, like he needs to be with her as much as she needs to be with him, right?
Well, that page is not a Martian vision page, though, to be clear. It's the page after that.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. So it's when it says you need help, right? That's what is going on in her brain. But then their smoke cloud connects to the Green Martian, and it says the Martian vision. And then the message that we get from the Martian vision, I'm sure if we look through it, is them needing to be together.
Yeah.
Right? It's the isolation is what's making, so I like how that works. I need to pick this up physically so I can see what this looks like, because my brain's having a hard time putting it together,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. It made sense to me, because this works just as well as two pages. If you imagine they're both like on either side of the same 2-page like open, like it makes sense. It's just repeated panels of like the same kind of sequence, but with each character separately. Then there's a couple of pages at the end, which it feels very different to the rest of the book, actually, where there's some figures in weird outfits doing some alien probing, as it were, but then it kind of seems to reveal that this is actually just a really bad person and a group of characters who makes things look like alien abductions to get rid of people. Or because he's on the phone, like basically accepting a job, and then the guy in the table who thinks he was abducted by aliens is realizing, wait, you're not all aliens, and then they just sort of casually shoot the guy in the head, and so yeah, this is someone hiring this guy and his team for maybe for John specifically, maybe someone else, hard to tell, but. Yeah. Interesting idea to introduce here at the end of this, because obviously we're at the start of the second half here. This is a kind of a new arc, but still obviously related. But this felt like a new element to introduce. We had the black, red, and grey kind of new thing mechanically, and then this is like a new plot element they're introducing at the end here.
Yeah, and it's all those other colors, right, that are off from the offshoot. Just the way that they're all layered there. It's crazy. And then when it turns out they're not aliens, right? And there's the speech bubbles are pink coming out of the guy that's on the phone. Yeah. It's definitely wild. I have no idea what to make of this. Yeah,
a new antagonist of some kind, and who's hiring them? That's another question worth pondering. But yeah, this was like a little epilogue that just sort of teasing, because I like this issue a lot. Obviously the layouts are fantastic, the kind of the relationship between the husband and wife, they're kind of exploring that in such a cool little way, showing that they're both lonely. But from a plot perspective, this one was definitely a bit slower than like most of the previous issues, probably because it's sort of like, oh, we're coming back after a break, we're recalibrating, this is sort of showing where everyone is now before we get going again, and then just at the very end it's like, okay, here's where the plot's starting to kick in. So it was a little bit slower than previous issues, so maybe not my favorite, but everything that makes this book great is here. So it was still a very, very good time. Very happy to have it back. So yeah. All right, Matt, what are you giving Absolute Martian Manhunter?
I'm gonna give this a straight 8. Like, it's pretty good. It's still, there's a lot going on here, and I feel like this is one of the few Absolute books that's the sum of it parts. I'm sure once we get the full big picture, all of the stuff it'll look better in retrospect. But as of right now, there's a lot going on. I don't know what to make of it, but it's still really good. Yeah,
I think it's getting into an 8.5 for me, just because the craft is so strong and like every scene's so engaging in its own way of like decoding what the hell each scene's doing with its art and how it's presenting the ideas and making us think a little bit. So still an 8.5 for me, but like, yeah, maybe I'll, obviously this book's had 9s, 9.5s, may have even got a 10 at some point. It feels like it might have done.